Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's a new semester. It's a new year. We are in a new space here for episode 1 of X's and O's. It's the same host. We're pretty much wearing the exact same stuff as we usually do. Let's take you into our new studio here a little bit if we can. We got a big wraparound green screen in here. We still have the same set as you can see, but hopefully maybe in the future we can maybe not use this set anymore and implement some new technologies with all this green screen that we have around us. Very excited for this new space. If you aren't aware, we're now doing these shows, we're doing these shows of X's and O's and all of our newscasts this semester live from the Memorial Union here at NDSU. Beautiful new facility. If you haven't, take a chance and stop by, maybe peek in a little bit. Great facilities that we have here. Let's start the show, and if we had an opportunity to delve into everything that happened over the last 4 months, it'd be very hard because so much happened. Let's not try to do that. Let's just kind of focus on the here and now, and let's also try to make sure that I want to at least implement, more back and forth if you're all right with that.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's try to make this a little more conversational, and you can feel free if you're watching this video on YouTube to let us know what you think of the things we talk about down in the comment section. So let's open it up. NDSU football's back. New regime at head coach Matt Entz taking over for Chris Kleiman, and it's just business as usual. 3-0 to start the year. If you aren't aware, Butler was the first game of the year. That was a blowout at Target Field. That was a lot of fun. UND came here for the banner ceremony, for the banner raising and the ring ceremony. That was a win. And then last weekend they had their first real road test of the year against a ranked team, Delaware, and
Still put up like 40 points.
Right, exactly. So that was, it's amazing though that all these young players that are on this team are performing like they are. Yeah. So that's kind of what I wanted to at least have this first topic about. Yeah, NDSU's 3-0. That's just kind of big whoop nowadays. So let's really talk about Trey Lance.
Honestly, it's just been such a smooth transition from starting at the top of this dynasty. Brock Jensen into Carson Wentz, into Easton Stick, and now into Trey Lance. He has picked up right where all those other great, fantastic, arguably NFL caliber quarterbacks have stepped in.
I mean, and all those other guys that you just mentioned, they all played in the pros. Brock Jensen played in the CFL for a little bit. Yeah. Not sure he does anymore.
By the Dolphins for a little bit, but obviously Carson Wentz doing his thing in Philadelphia. Easton Stick on the Chargers.
But really, how tremendous is it though, just to know already? I think we even figured that out in like the first game potentially. Like, you have that guy already.
Yeah.
And he played 2 quarters last year. He played 2 quarters of football. Yeah. We didn't even know anything about him other than we got a little chance to see him at the spring game. Mm-hmm. But that's tremendous. Like that you already know. He has 10 incompletions through 3 games and 9 passing touchdowns.
Yeah, that's just
It's
insane.
not fair.
And
it's so far not fair.
Keep in mind, redshirt freshman.
Yeah, and he's going to
be here for
He should be around
years.
For the next 3 years after this year.
Yeah, it's insane. And it's just business as usual. There's really, if you look at the whole scope of the FCS, there's really only a couple of teams that can truly, honestly compete with North Dakota State. That'd be South Dakota State and James
It's
Madison.
looking like it. And Eastern Washington, the Bison just played them in the championship game. They gave up 31 points to a D2 program. And then also, I think, lost to Jacksonville State last weekend.
Yeah.
So their seeding potential is low.
Yeah.
They're going to have to fight to get a seed again this year.
Yeah,
and they have a lot of
really
talented players coming back on that team. But
honestly, I'm just going to wish good luck to any of you, any FCS team trying to compete with North Dakota State within the next 5 years.
I really hope
it's going to be really tough.
I really hope our FCS talk doesn't become stale over the weeks if we end up doing more segments on the Bison, especially if things continue to go well at least.
Yeah.
I just really hope that things don't go stale, but then again, maybe things going stale would be good for NDSU, again, in the same sense.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. Winning can get boring after a while.
So also, probably should also touch on the success of the running game as well that Trey Lance is definitely a part of. But how about Kobe Johnson? He's a true freshman. Wears number 24 in your depth chart on your program. He's the leading rusher in terms of running backs right now. He's got almost 200 yards in 3 games. That's nothing to just sniff at. That's pretty good that they already trust him to carry the ball as a true freshman. Just came into camp in June.
Yeah, it's really impressive to see Kobe Johnson doing that. But it's not just him. Adam Cofield's been playing really well. It might have been Ty Brooks had gotten off to a bit of a slow start so far. But I think he's the veteran, he's a wily veteran, senior. He's going to pick it back up at some point. He's, for the most part, RB1. He's our leading. He's one of our main captains. So expect him to pick up the pace as the weeks go on. And
I think they tend to more use him not as a between the tackles runner, but as somebody who can come across the formation on jet sweeps and take runs to the outside. So he doesn't. I mean, he has obviously worked within NDSU's system. It's just he just hasn't apparently gotten off to that big of a start, which is okay because there's a whole herd. There's a whole herd of running backs that are with him. So very good start so far for NDSU, and just hopefully that UC Davis game coming up this weekend. Hopefully that doesn't trip them up. UC Davis, one of the best programs in the country, a high playoff seed last year. Don't really have much of an insight right now, but you can hear our reactions on our show next week for episode 2. So let's now then, let's have you lead the discussion. I will admit, I have not really, through the first 2 weeks of the NFL season, I've not really looked into much at all. I'm not in a fantasy league, so yay me, I don't have to deal with that stress this year. Congratulations on being in one this year.
2-0 to start the season, no big deal.
But so I'm going to kind of let you lead this discussion here about the NFL. Obviously, let's talk first about the Green Bay Packers versus Minnesota Viking game yesterday.
Yeah, that was quite an interesting game on both sides of the ball. Green Bay got off to a ridiculously hot start. 3 straight drives, 3 straight touchdowns in the first quarter. But then after that, the Minnesota Vikings defense woke up and shut them down. And then really, it was all a matter of whether or not the offense and Kirk Cousins could get things going, and they just didn't. But no disrespect to Dalvin Cook, he had his career high in rushing yards, had a touchdown. But Kirk Cousins, this was just flat out his worst game as a Minnesota Viking. He made some very, very questionable throws, very questionable decisions. Refs were kind of iffy from time to time with some pass interference calls. But that's kind of besides the point. When the game is on the line, it's 1st and goal, and you throw from your back foot 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage into double coverage. That's just, you can't, as an 8-year veteran, Kirk Cousins should not be making those throws, especially when the running game is as hot as it was.
And they had been doing nothing but running, I think, on that drive all the way down the field. So that was a little disappointing. But really, this game is not all on Kirk Cousins.
No.
There are plenty of people that are out there calling for Kirk Cousins to be cut right now.
No, which is just
in
ridiculous.
week 2. It's ludicrous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, I think I've also developed a little trend that I've noticed. That's just kind of how the league works. Quarterbacks are not going to be good every week, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Every
you've watched enough football, you'll recognize that. But having knee-jerk reactions, like that really doesn't do anybody any good. It's not realistic that it will happen. It's also realistic to assume that things are going to get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Green Bay is very good in their home openers traditionally, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And they also aggressively upgraded their defense. It just seemed like prime territory for bad things to happen. So bad things happen, and that's just kind of what happened.
But at the same time, the Vikings could have easily won.
Yes, absolutely.
So there's no looking past that Kirk Cousins dropped the ball.
There's no absolving of criticism here from number 8. He is the one to blame. He's not the one to blame, but he's a very high, he's a high-ranking one to blame.
He was one of the many things that went wrong in that game. But we're going to go ahead and move into some of the other games that happened. Obviously, Detroit over the Chargers.
Yes, that was weird.
That was weird. Yeah.
That was very weird. I did not expect that result at all, given what we saw from Detroit blowing that lead against Arizona in week 1.
Ended up in a tie.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, so congratulations, Detroit. You're the only I guess Green Bay's undefeated as well. But
Yeah.
Detroit, congratulations, you're tied with Green Bay in winning percentage.
Yeah, but I want to.
Or wait, no, they're not. That tie
Technically
counts as a
not.
loss.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
but
fine.
they don't have a loss, so that was
But
my point.
I want to take a couple minutes to just
Uh-oh.
talk
I know it's
about the
coming.
Miami Dolphins.
That's it.
Miami Dolphins, to put it bluntly, you're straight trash. There is nothing likable about your team right now. You have scored, 10 points?
Yeah.
That's it.
And
You have
they
given up
quick math. Let's do some live quick math right now. They gave up
59 to
59
10.
in week 1.
59 week 1, 43.
So that's
week 2.
102.
102 points given up in just 2 weeks. If you want to take a look at why most of your players, including Minkah Fitzpatrick, wants out of this organization.
By the way, who
take a
they
look-
just drafted
just drafted
Fitzpatrick
Minkah
like
Fitzpatrick.
11th overall or so last year.
It's only week 2, but the Dolphins are done.
You messed up.
You are done.
You messed up.
You might as well just tank, go 0-16, just set all the records for just complete ineptitude on a football field, and just go for Tua. Go for Tua Tagovailoa, or however you say his last
Tua
name.
Tagovailoa?
Tagovailoa.
That sounds right.
Yeah, we'll go for that. But just tank for Tua and just kind of build from there. I know they have Josh Rosen in backup for Fitzmagic, but he's just. I don't think Josh Rosen's the
I
answer
like
either.
Josh Rosen. I wanted him to succeed. He still can.
Yeah, but he just
the situation isn't working at all.
The Dolphins just need to blow up everything.
And Rosen kind of, if I will say, Rosen kind of got screwed over a little bit. He kind of got the short end of the stick in Arizona.
Yeah,
it kind of made him leave, which
kinda
is
shady.
I didn't like that.
No, he's never really given a chance in Arizona. But I want to take a moment and quick talk about the Sunday night football game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons. A game which I know you didn't watch.
I
but
did.
I had the opportunity to watch most of it. I thought the game was fantastic.
Well, good. Very
got
good.
off to a very slow start. Carson Wentz had some more injury problems. Took a big shot to the ribs. Zach Ertz went down.
I think
Matt
didn't he
Ryan.
have a rib injury before?
Yeah, he had a rib injury,
Yeah.
and then he got basically speared by Deion Jones and went out at the end of the second quarter. Josh McCown got some reps in, which is always nice to see.
He's still there.
He's still in the
He's
league.
still in the league. That's
Still kicking
amazing.
it. But
Okay.
once the second half got rolling, Carson Wentz, the true, I think 2017 Carson Wentz really came out and showed.
Hey.
There was one specific play when the Eagles were down where he escaped a couple tackles, was about to get tackled.
Oh, I
throws
think
a
I saw
strike.
it. I think I saw it. It's
Throws a strike.
okay, so I'm gonna try to visualize this. I think I know what you're talking about. Like his
Yeah.
here's the ground, and here's where his knee was, and
he
right
gets
when
off
he
the
threw
pass,
it.
throws a 20-yard
Yeah.
zip line right to a receiver for a first down that led to a touchdown. Matt Ryan.
Highly recommend.
overall-
I saw that at least
Yeah.
on social media. Highly recommend you watch that if you
Matt
haven't.
Ryan, Matty Ice, overall, did not play well. He had 3 picks. Not a great game. But Julio Jones is still Julio Jones. And he just off to the races. He's 31. He's still kicking it. He's still in his prime.
He's 31.
Yeah, he's been in the league for a long time.
Okay.
So yeah, he got that game-winning touchdown off a screen pass, and he was off to the races. I saw on Twitter that he reached speeds up to 20 miles an hour on his way to the end zone.
Remember when Julio Jones couldn't score a touchdown, and now he can't stop scoring touchdowns?
Yeah, it was a great game overall. I thought it was tremendous back and forth.
Granted,
Eagles
the
were-
one he had in week 1 was against the Viking, 7th string corner
Yeah.
in garbage time, but still, that's still incredible that
Yeah.
he's got
Julio
a
is still
touchdown in
Julio.
6 straight games?
Yeah.
Something like that? Good for him. Good that he's thriving, and
Yeah.
the Falcons got that win. Did the Falcons win?
The Falcons won.
Okay. There you go. Congratulations, Atlanta.
Nelson Aguilar still can't catch.
Oh, okay.
He had a wide open pass for an easy touchdown and went right through his hands. But I want to this is going to air, I think, be on YouTube right before the Monday Night Football game between the
Ideally.
Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets.
Hopefully, we'll see.
Obviously, Sam Darnold not going to be in there because he has mono.
Which
Really
is
tough-
very
really tough to see.
kind of embarrassing,
Kind of
actually.
But what's more embarrassing than the Browns week 1? Let's be real.
Oh.
Baker Mayfield did not look very good.
Uh,
Odell Beckham carrying the $350,000 watch.
see,
Not the greatest. I mean, you can wear the watch, that's fine, but if you don't show up, and the people more talking about your watch than how you played on the field, I feel like that's a bad sign.
I think that game kind of reminds me of like just, not maybe the show necessarily, but just the title of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Curb Your Enthusiasm, Browns fans. You still cheer for the Browns.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
This
is still the Cleveland Browns that you're talking about.
You have all this talent. You have all this hype generated by the media.
And granted, they got a lot of people that most people hold in high regard, but you still got to come out there and play well.
When you get Odell Beckham Jr. for basically nothing, that's pretty impressive. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Like, you can't go out there and perform the way you did week 1 with all that talent that you have. You've had months to prepare for this, and you couldn't get it done. So hopefully
that's disappointing, especially against the Tennessee Titans.
I'm a huge supporter of Baker Mayfield. I think he's got a great future. I think he's going to be a superstar quarterback in this league. But he needs to He needs to take control. He needs to play better than he did week 1. Hopefully he can turn it around.
Yeah, and I mean, they played one quarter essentially. They only really showed up for one quarter against Tennessee. They gave up 40-some points and lost. So a big test against another 0-1 team that gave up a 16-0 lead to Buffalo in week 1. So, and speaking of that, Buffalo's 2-0 as well.
Yeah,
probably one of the most suspect 2-0 teams you could ask for.
I like Josh Allen. I don't think he'll be superstar level, but I think he'll be a serviceable quarterback. I think he can reach Jared Goff levels. I think Jared Goff is good. He can. Josh Allen can be good.
I agree.
Superstar,
I'm not going to say big things obviously yet. You still have to. Still have to get some snaps under your belt. I mentioned a few other things in my notes here, notable things that happened. How about that bombshell that we got this morning in notifications? How about like Ben Roethlisberger, for instance, missing the rest of the year with an elbow injury? He needs surgery. And Pittsburgh's 0-2.
Yeah. I mean, this is something
optimism's dying out there in the Steel City.
Yeah. I think it's kind of tough to put a gauge on whether or not losing Ben Roethlisberger helps or hinders the Steelers, because Ben Roethlisberger is in his mid-30s now. He's starting to show a little bit of decline.
And he'd wanted to retire. Pretty sure he was like thinking retirement at some point last season.
Yeah. And now he lost Antonio Brown.
The Killer Bees are pretty much gone now.
Don't have Le'Veon Bell. Don't have You have Juju, but he really needs. I haven't heard much from him really since the season started. It's just kind of weird to.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's weird to
Pittsburgh and have them not at the top.
I don't think they've really been bad since 5 or 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
I only remember this because the Vikings played the Steelers in London in 2013, and both teams are 0-4 heading into that game, or something strange like that. So, Pittsburgh. It's been a long time since they've actually been their backs are against the wall now. Mason Rudolph is probably a good quarterback for them.
Yeah.
He was really good at Oklahoma State. Granted, most quarterbacks kind of look good in the Big 12.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. I think he's capable. We'll have to see what they can do. They still have plenty of good players. It's not like it's
only week 2.
Yeah, and it's also not like Roethlisberger hurt himself because of poor offensive line play. It was a non-contact injury from what I heard, and Pittsburgh has a pretty good offensive line to begin with. So I don't think it was that. So hopefully Ben Roethlisberger can at least be better and maybe come back, but at least they have some promise. They did lose to Seattle by 2 points yesterday.
Of yesterday, week 2, was the loss of Drew Brees in the New Orleans
Saints.
If you're not aware, his throwing hand met the meaty hand of Aaron Donald.
Oh.
And there's I don't know what it was exactly, like a tear in his throwing hand and his thumb.
Either way, that ain't
throwing hand.
That ain't
He's going to have to get surgery on it, and he's going to miss at least 6 weeks. And then Teddy Bridgewater stepped in, and he didn't look that great.
Pour one out for Teddy Bridgewater. Really, pour one out for Teddy Bridgewater. Just had no luck the last 3 years.
And when you have Aaron Donald staring you down, you're going to be pretty intimidated.
So I feel really bad for Teddy Bridgewater. I wanted to see him succeed, even though I guess it would have been for. He still can.
He still can.
There's time, but I mean, it's just tough to see, though. I obviously didn't see this game, but I mean, still, just. How can you come back though from just being thrust that onto you. Your guy, Drew Brees, the guy that you're supposed to be learning from and taking tutelage from, he's now not there to, you're not there, he's not there to, for you to watch anymore. I mean, I don't know, maybe he doesn't need to watch, but man, just really tough though for Teddy Bridgewater. Hopefully he can turn it around really for his own sake.
He's got a good 6 weeks to minimum to prove himself. Maybe get a contract somewhere else. Maybe Miami.
They're hiring probably.
Definitely
and probably the last game that at least I had marked was that Chicago-Denver game. There was a lot of weird things happening at the end of this game.
That was an ugly. I didn't watch that game, but from what I heard on different forums of social media, scoring-wise, ugly.
Hopefully we can be more informed on things we saw next week, but still just, man, that...
A pretty just terrible roughing the passer call on Bradley Chubb to end the game.
Oh, I saw that.
That's what led to the Bears' game-winning field goal that propelled them to their one win so far.
That's sad.
Which wasn't exactly deserved, but...
Unbelievable. Well, anyway, so
moving on.
That's enough football for now. Let's talk about things that we can actually speak on a little bit better, about Major League Baseball and the pennant race. It's September. It's almost playoff baseball.
2 weeks left in the season. And 4 postseason plays.
And yours and my Minnesota Twins are 91-58 when nobody thought that they would win this many games at the start of the year.
Maybe like 80 tops?
86 or so. They won 78 last year with
wild card contention.
Yeah, exactly. They're like in a really good spot right now to win the AL Central, given their magic numbers down to 9. They've already broken the home run record of all time. The Yankees have also been in contention with that, with the Twins currently.
They're the Yankees, so
exactly.
That's not too surprising.
But the Minnesota Twins at the start of the year, we didn't really get a chance to talk about them while we were doing these shows last in April and May, because I mean there were more polarizing topics, but just the fact that the Twins were in that position, they're in this position rather right now, is really remarkable. I really got to give credit to James Rousing, the hitting coach, and Rocco Baldelli, really just emphasizing a more launch angle approach at the plate.
Yeah.
That's what's really given them the success they've had at the plate.
And the Twins are notorious for buying like small additions for like one year contract.
Well, at least they have been of late, the last couple years.
Yeah. But they've been making the acquisitions that they had this year, this offseason compared to last offseason,
pretty much all worked out.
So much better. We went straight for power, and that's what we got. Power. It shouldn't really surprise people that we have one of the best power hitting teams, because that's what we loaded up on. I mean, there are some surprises. I didn't expect Max Kepler to hit 30 plus.
Or how about Jorge Polanco hitting over 20 home runs and
being a starter in the All-Star game?
Right. That was really cool.
MVP
Nobody really remembers that now. So really tremendous though, the work that the Twins have done. Their pitching still their weakest, but it's not like they're horrible right now like they were maybe a few months ago.
I'd say they're up to average pitching staff.
They're at least serviceable, and now they're kind of stuck with, at least for the end of the season now, they're kind of stuck with 4 starting pitchers due to Michael Pineda doing that bad thing that got him suspended for a long time. So hopefully that can get remedied in the offseason. This was his last year with the team, so we'll see what the Twins can do there. If they have any
great strides before that suspension.
If they have any internal options to replace him or anything like that. But so good for the Minnesota Twins being in the position they are. They're currently 6 games rather, back of the Yankees and Houston for the best record in the American League. In fact, all of baseball for that matter.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard for the Twins to get home field advantage if they can clinch the AL Central right now. It's going to be very hard to manage that, considering the Yankees and Astros are currently tied at 98 wins.
They are absolutely loaded.
They're very good. The Yankees, I think, would match up better with the Twins, though, in terms of like a Minnesota win in the playoffs, because the Yankees' starting pitching for the last few months has been very suspect. So I think with if you were tasked with either facing the Yankees starting rotation that has, one really good pitcher in Herman, I forget his first name, but he has 17 wins this year. And then if you're on the flip side, then, if you wanted to face the Astros, well, all right, how
Going
about Garrett
against-
Cole, Justin Verlander, and Zach Greinke in
Greinke.
games 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah,
In
that's
any
a tall
particular
order.
order. That's hard.
Yeah.
Let's not try to have that happen if at all possible.
But at the same time, just as a personal opinion, if I could go for a Twins playoff series that doesn't involve the Yankees, at least right away.
Yeah, okay.
That would be
That
really
sentiment's
nice,
fine.
'cause
That's fine.
Since 2002, the Twins have only had a couple playoff series where they didn't play the Yankees, the Athletics.
Yeah,
the
2 of them. Yeah.
Unless you count the ALCS versus
Yeah.
the Angels. So technically 3.
Okay.
But we haven't won a playoff game, or a series for that matter. We haven't won a playoff series since 2002. Haven't won a playoff
Game since 04.
04.
Yep, October 5th,
We've been-
2004. It's been almost 15
The
years
Yankees
since the
have
Twins
owned
have
us in
won
the
a
playoffs.
playoff game.
The Yankees have owned us in the playoffs for over a decade.
Well over a
Well
decade,
over a
actually,
decade.
really, like
So-
15 years. So yeah, so that's a thing. So hopefully that trend can get turned over at some point, as long as obviously the Twins do hang on. They are in a very good spot over Cleveland in the AL Central. Cleveland's won 87 games, but the Twins have 5 fewer losses than they do. Cleveland's currently a game and a half out of the wild card right now in the American
Yeah.
League. Oakland and Tampa are the current wild card holders. Oakland's already at 90 wins. Tampa's at 89, rather. So the American League wild card is about wrapped up. There's really only one other team in contention. That's Cleveland. The Boston Red Sox, the defending World Series champions, they're 9 games out of the second wild card.
Yeah.
Things really went wrong for them earlier in the year.
Fired their president of baseball operations.
Just recently because things went so wrong. So they're probably not going to, barring a massive collapse from anybody that's currently in a spot.
Probably not going to happen.
Yeah, so sorry, Boston. You're not going to get a parade. Doesn't look like this year in baseball. Switching over then to the National League, 2 teams have already clinched playoff spots. The LA Dodgers have already won their division, which is amazing. I think they did it like last week.
Maybe
like
even a week and a half ago.
Something like
at this
that.
point.
And the Atlanta Braves have already clinched a playoff spot. They haven't won their division just yet. And right now, the St. Louis Cardinals in the division that nobody wants to win, the NL Central, they currently have a 2-game lead on the Chicago Cubs. Right now in the wild card, it's Washington and Chicago holding the 2 spots. The Twins just played Washington last week at home. The Nationals look like a good team still. I thought they were going to be a good team. I guess not as good as the Phillies at the start of the year, but look at where the Phillies are, and look
Yeah.
at where the Nationals are,
Kinda
and look at
what
where
happens
the.
when you put all your eggs in one 250
Well,
batting average hitter.
I thought that they
I
were
love
more
Bryce
well.
Harper.
I thought they were more well-rounded than just him at the start of the year, but it turns out their pitching wasn't as good.
No.
But the National League wild card still has, really quite a few teams that can still take that second spot. It's just kind of hard though with the games dwindling down, and you're only down to what, like 2.5 more weeks or less
Yeah.
before the season ends. Teams like Arizona, Philadelphia are kind of on the outside looking in. The New York Mets, the amazing Mets run that they had in August might not be enough.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens. Well, that can happen in 2 weeks.
The Milwaukee Brewers are also still right in it. They're going to be severely hindered, though, with the
Without
loss
Christian
of
Yelich.
Christian Yelich fouling a ball off his kneecap. Very tragic. They're a team that was a game away from the World Series last year. So going to be a very interesting down stretch of the season, and hopefully we can talk more about this as it goes on. So any other closing remarks on Major League Baseball in the pennant race here?
It's going to be wild. Can't wait for the playoffs.
Well said. So that is going to wrap up episode 1 of Fall 2019 X's and O's. I'm Isak Dinesen,
I'm Joe Thompson.
and we will see you next week.